Good evening from Cardiff. I begin to hyperventilate because I haven't talked about food today, and that's not any good. I am a food person, and I'll put that in context. Um, Now, my family is from the British Isles. Father Welsh, mother Irish. Lived in Britain a lot, but obviously born and raised in the States. And my life with food cultures has been described. I was not born in one, but I migrated to one. Lived in Japan, which is, in my experience, Tokyo was a food culture. And love San Francisco, go up there a lot. New York City, of course, New Orleans, in the States. But by and large, except for the ethnic holdouts among restaurants and what have you, Vietnamese, Mexican, um, local shops, mom and pop stuff, Victorville, California, that kind of place. It's work, but you develop a nose. But you also get a feel for cities, because cities are often the last resort for people who are interested in food, and cities of quite varied size will come up with something. But there is a question of density. For example, I have an army of Italian in-laws, my generation and above, where immigrants are the children of immigrants from southern Italy, because my family were miners, and Sicilian miners immigrated to the States to do the same thing my Welsh immigrant miners did, which was to dig gold or what have you. Now, having said that, I have an organic connection, if you will, with southern Italy. Southern Italy, in my experience, principally Sicily itself and then Naples, are food cultures. I mean, you have to work at getting a bad meal in places like that because they're just serious about it. I mean, there's this wonderful scene in a mafia series done some time ago on Netflix, which quite by chance shows a scene outside a Naples prison at lunchtime. And there's this queue of women carrying lunch pails to bring food to their imprisoned husbands, because it's inconceivable that the husband would be condemned to eat prison food. That is a food culture. Now, when you wander up north, places I love like Milan, the Milanese are so busy making money that they neglect their table. I mean, you get excellent things to eat in Milan, but it's not the same. The South, whatever its problems, mafia and poverty and political this, that, the other thing, is absolutely clear about food. Only the Southern Italians would have come up with, cuisine for the poor. I mean, if you can't, for example, a hallmark of Sicilian food is traditionally, this is a cliche, but is not meat and not cheese, because only the aristos could afford it. So what you do is you focus on vegetables, and the consequence of that is, I think, not to be bad here, but because I had a husband for a long time who was a pescatarian, and I stopped eating meat despite being the son of a butcher. Having gone back to meat now isn't the same. I mean, really, a well-cooked aubergine knocks the pants off most meat. I mean, fish is in between, but even then, the vegetables are the gift of the gods. Fruit, of course, but vegetables, my goodness. So, vegetarianism, bring it on, because if you have nothing but what you grow in your garden, and you grow it with love, and then cook it with more, and then consume it with even more love, the consequences are obvious. So, foodies, this is what we are. Find things. You have it, you're looking at all time. And there it happened in Cardiff. Because I divide my life between Bordeaux and Cardiff. Bordeaux is one of the food capitals of the world. I mean, really, there are extraordinary places to eat on almost every corner there. Cardiff is not like that. Wales is not a food culture in that southern French sense. It is not. But Cardiff, because of its wealth and cosmopolitan links, its immigrant, its if you migrant population, has a variety, and you can find things. Oh, and then the last time I was in Cardiff, I found Khione, which is a wonderful um, Greek-Italian couple. She's the Sicilian and he's the Greek. And they have this delicatessen in the arcade. I think it's one of the castle arcades. I got the address there. And I walked in there and I thought, yes. We had an argument instantly because, I'm sorry, I can be bad. And then we had this argument about cannoli. Now, cannoli, of course, if you know your American films, is the source of perhaps the most important, second most important food scene in all American cinema. The first one, of course, is that I'll have what she's having moment. And then we have the end of the first installment of The Godfather, where someone is killed because he's betrayed the Godfather. But on the way there, the organizer of the killing, at his request of his wife, has bought cannoli, which is this hard-cased panna cotta cheese thing. So, and hence the immortal quote, "Leave the pistol and take the cannoli." Okay. So I went to, I've told this story before, it's worth me telling to give you a picture of what I go through. Visited Palermo, went into a cannoli shop, because I'm very fond of this. There was a 16-year-old snot, for lack of a better word, selling the things. And I walked in and said, I wanted to buy one. He said, I won't sell you one. I refuse. I don't know what's going on here. He said, well, I will sell you one in the end, but you have to promise me something. I said, okay, I'll promise. What is it? He says, you have to eat it today. Yes, of course. Freshly made. Eat it when it's best. Food culture. Okay. Waltzed into and had this argument with the owner, the Greek, who's just, eccentric and wonderful, about putting colored things, chocolate, pistachio Sicilian thing, I agree, inside the cannoli. And I thought, no, that isn't the way you do it. So we had this wonderful argument, food fight, of course, about what is orthodox. And of course, all I had to say to him is, well, it doesn't work that way in Palermo, and that was the end of it. However, went upstairs. Oh my goodness. They only do, if I'm not mistaken, a fresh pasta on Sundays. So I went up there and had their fresh pasta. And I went back the next Sunday and said, I'd like to buy some. What did I buy? Something. Fettuccine. Fresh. They made me some fresh fettuccine so I could do fettuccine Alfredo after the restaurant in Rome. Brought it home, made for so yummy, so simple, so delicious. Okay, now you see this place, this vortex, this ground zero of yumminess. Tried other things. Oh. The next time I had this sort of a mixture of charcuterie and cheese, but on the side there was this little pile of cashews, and they were delicious. And I said, what's the story here? Because really, they were the best thing on the plate. And he said, well, in Sicily, we make the cashews, or wherever they're having, because they're all local suppliers for them from Italy, with 35% olive oil. And in the States, when you get them, which is the main source of cashews in Cardiff, is it 5% maybe? Which is a food culture. Cashew. Yummy. Expensive, but yummy. Then we began doing the wine tasting. Another trip and a half. Local suppliers, interesting small, productions. The woman knows her stuff. You taste. Now, this is exquisite. This is a little bit of Sicily, right there, just across from the castle in Cardiff. Duke's Arcade. So, this is what I mean, and this is why I go there, and this is why, if you love food, or want to learn to love food, most people don't know about food because for all kinds of interesting reasons. Mother's cooking is, that's a special category. But outside that, it's hit or miss, just because the cultures are focused on other things, shall we say. But if you have a food culture which is focused on food, and then, yes, we know that, then places like this, like Khione, are not to be missed. Yummy. Go on Sunday. Or if you go in earlier and see what they have in terms of like dried pasta. Good stuff. And it just goes to one thing after another. And there's the tables outside in the arcade, and Cardiff arcades are absolutely fabulous to look. You know, it's a reinvention of the French arcade, which London also has, but more intimate, more cozy, more family, more Welsh. Talk with you soon.